Bird Rock La Jolla's $5 to $7 million range has seen just 3 recorded sales on and off market in the past 2 years. By contrast, the 3 to 5 mil range has now seen 20 sales over the same time frame. So, as expected, that upper band is thinner and less accessible. Fewer trades, slower turnover, and significantly more scarcity at this level. So, what actually bumps a Bird Rock home from the 3 to 5 mil range into the 5 to 7 mil range? Well, it starts with the classic east versus west split along La Jolla Boulevard. West of the boulevard, you're closer to the ocean and have stronger walkability, so land values naturally run higher. We'll start there. Two of the three $5 to $7 million range sales ended up selling on the west side. Not surprising, and they're both in the $6 million range. The most recent closing was an off market deal on Chelsea, $6.5 million, and that home has spectacular views of the surf all the way down to Point Loma. The original home appears to be gone, and there's a brand new construction underway. And according to the tax records, the original home was a 1979 3 bedroom, 3 bath, roughly 2,800 square feet on a 0.13 acre lot. On the surface, 6.5 million feels abnormally high for a 1979 home that is non-waterfront with those specs that would almost certainly be considered a teardown. But the pricing starts to make sense when you look at the timing and what's happening on that lot at this time. The sale closed only about 9 months ago, back in April, and there's already vertical construction. So this doesn't look like a typical 1979 house trade. In my opinion, and I cannot say this with certainty, it looks like a site plus future build value purchase, where the buyer is essentially paying for the lot, the view corridor, and a head start on the build path. That likely includes work already underway or completed. Coastal approvals, plans, permitting, engineering, etc. All the front loaded, time consuming work the seller likely already absorbed. That type of head start commands a premium, especially in Bird Rock. And on top of the 6.5 paid for the site plus entitlements, the buyer is still likely investing a few more $1 million into the actual construction of the home. So the seller essentially is backing out of the open end build risk, right? Transferring that risk over to the buyer, and then that house will likely be worth a substantial amount of money once complete. So, this off market deal isn't about what's a 1979 house worth. It's about what a prime west side view lot can command, where redevelopment is clearly viable and the heavy lifting has already started. This deal is a strong signal for the neighborhood. Bird Rock is a hot zone. Many of the nearby homes are not originals, and quite a few are actually under construction at this time. The surrounding activity shows clear confidence in future upside, and your neighbors are betting on the area, even in this economy. The next West Side sale is a waterfront property on Calumet, which closed for $6.75 million back in April of 2024. So I want to stack this up against another Bird Rock waterfront property just around the corner on Dolphin, which we've already discussed in the 3 to 5 mil range video. So that one closed for $5 million in May 2025. And quick note, both homes are currently operating as short-term vacation rentals, and both happen to close around the same price per square footage. That's roughly 2,900 a square foot. So why the nearly $2 million gap between these two waterfront properties? Well, first, it's size. So Calumet, the one that closed for 6.75, is a larger home. It's a 3 bed, 3.5 bath, roughly 2,400 square feet. Whereas Dolphin is going to be a 2 bed, 3 bath, roughly 1,800 square feet. So right out the gate, Calumet has about a third more interior square footage. Next is the lot size. Calumet's lot size is almost 3 times the size of Dolphin's at 0.13 acres versus Dolphin's 0.05 acres. Condition matters too. Calumet is nicely updated, while Dolphin is partially updated and still requires some work. But the biggest difference is really going to be the orientation of the home and how the home actually experiences the ocean. Both properties front the coastline with views over South Bird Rock Surf Break all the way down to Point Loma, but they live differently. Calumet has a cleaner, more linear west-facing orientation, allowing the ocean-facing deck to span the length of the home. That creates consistent light and continuous water exposure across the main living spaces, with a true indoor-outdoor feel. Dolphin sits on a corner, along a more rugged southwest-facing stretch of coastline. The floor plan is tighter with fewer openings. The views don't carry through the house in the same way, and the home reads darker and more enclosed. So even though both are technically waterfront, these differences are what pushed Calumet into the high sixes back in 2024 and Dolphin at $5 million just a year later. Now, let's jump east of La Jolla Boulevard, where we've had just one sale in the $5 to $7 million range. That house is on Forward, and it closed for $5.425 million back in January of 2025. Also, this house is the highest price sale on market on the east side in Bird Rock. And I'm not speculating about off market sales. This is only about verifiable on market data for that specific stat. This is a 2004 build at roughly 5,800 square feet on about one third of an acre. The square footage is dramatically larger than any of those homes that traded on the east side in the 3 to 5 mil band within the past 2 years. It has partial ocean views and a strong amenity package, an in ground pool and spa, which is rare in Bird Rock, a built in barbecue and fire pit, a finished basement or game room, two flexible dens, and a four-car garage, another rare and highly desirable feature. So why did this home break $5 million when the other homes on the east side in the 3 to 5 mil range that sold within the past 2 years capped out around $4.1 million? If you remember, nearly all those $3 to $5 million east side trades from the past 2 years were in the 2,000 square foot range, except for a recent closing we had in December on Bellevue, which is around 4,200 square feet. So that house is a 2007 build, nice ocean views, sitting on 0.37 acres, and it has some additional features. However, it didn't even break the $4 million mark. But part of that has to do with the seller pricing the house at nearly $5.3 million to begin with. But even beyond pricing, 4,200 square feet is still far off from 5,800 square feet, right? So all these homes are sitting between that 2 to 4,000 mark. And then all of a sudden you have this 5,800 square foot home that has the amenity package, right? And the four-car garage, the finished basement, all those bells and whistles. So that clear shift in scale for an estate style product is exactly why Forward was able to sit comfortably in the mid fives. Moving on to actives, we have two available within this price band, and both of them are going to be on the west side, specifically in the $5 million range. I won't go into further detail on here because the video is already quite long, but we can connect offline if you have any questions. As far as pendings and contingents go, we have none on market at this time. So if you want to break into Bird Rock's $5 million plus range, the odds are simply higher on the west side of La Jolla Boulevard. That's just the way it is. The land values are higher there. However, as we saw with Forward, it is possible on the east side. It's just that the east side is not quite there yet. They haven't matured to the level of the west side, and they never will be the same valuations, okay? West is always worth more, but eventually the east side will get there, and it's a case by case basis, right? So it depends on what your home is and what valuable package you have to offer to the buyers. So anyways, thank you for watching. I'm Tara Ravenbach, your La Jolla native insider. Have a great night.